All right. Last but not least, learning target 9 in our tissues unit. It says I can describe age-related changes that occur in cells and in the extracellular matrix. Basically, what this target is dealing with is, excuse me, seeing what happens to tissues as we get older and how are they going to change. And we'll look at a lot of different healing processes that change as you get older throughout the year within each system. But this is obviously specific to tissues. So, what kind of things are happening? So we're keep it pretty general here um, with looking at fibers and tissues. So number one, um, first of all, we start having less cell division. And with less cell division, we're producing less tissue and less fewer of those extracellular fibers. So that's obviously going to change the composition of the tissues. This causes our collagen fibers. Remember that collagen's our major structural protein becomes less flexible and it just is not as strong. If you've ever heard of an older individual, maybe in his 40s, like Mr. Moore, they go out and they try to play a pickup basketball game and they tear their Achilles or they rupture their Achilles. Well, that's because some of these changes are just starting to happen in them and they're just not as strong as they used to be. The elastic fibers become less elastic, and we actually start to see a decrease in the number of neurons and in muscle cells. So they're not necessarily wasting away, but you start seeing them get a little bit smaller, and you start seeing a little bit of the function decrease as they get older. Systems starts to decline. Respiratory, cardiovascular system. That's an older age. It's not that they stop working, but they're just not working as efficiently, especially if somebody's activity level is declining along with it. We heal things slower. Scarring is going to happen a little slower as well. What happens in the cardiovascular system? Well, the walls of the arteries become weaker. We start to build up too many collagen fibers, which can cause plaque buildup within our vessels. And if that happens, we start to see passageways being blocked. We start to produce less and less red blood cells because we're seeing less of that hematopoietic or hemopoietic tissue. And then finally, you probably have noticed this with older individuals. They start to have wrinkly skin, which has thinned a little bit. The older individuals have thinner skin and less elasticity with it, and their bones. So their bones can break. Not they start to break. They can break a little faster or a little easier, and because of that, all these other changes. If there is a broken bone, you'll start to see longer time to recover. And that's really it. I mean, we could get really in depth with healing and all that stuff, and or excuse me, not healing, with what happens with aging of tissues, but just in general, these things are going to occur. But the big thing to keep in mind is things are happening slower. We're reproducing cells a lot less, and injuries are really going to affect us more as we get older and older.